coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, as always, on this Wednesday, hump day, July 15th. How about that? Middle of the middle. Middle day of the week, middle day of the month. We're right there at it's the hump day of the month for sure, Todd Leary. Bob Kravitz on the program today. He last week was on and had a piece out, said something didn't sound quite right with the Victor Oladipo saga, and daggone Bob nailed it on the head there. We'll have him on to talk about it. May have Remy on. Haven't talked to him this morning yet, but man, oh man, golly, guys, that TBT final was just heart-wrenching last night.
We talked about it yesterday. I mean, I love/hate the winner-take-all scenario because it just is, boy, that's a tough one to swallow for the team that comes in second.
Especially, I mean, you could tell Mo Creek was on a freaking mission last night. You could tell, but also because you mentioned off air, the main leading
Marcus
scorer,
Keene,
Keene who had been there the whole time, man, but wasn't there last night. But Mo was on a mission, and they were trying, and gosh dang it, that was one of the better games. And you talk about the Elam ending. I know there's been a lot of talk about it, and a minute ago we were talking off air. It just seems so sudden when it happens. It's just, you know it's coming, but with a clock, you see it coming. It's the 5, 4. So it's got you in that mode. With the Elam ending, it's just dead calm. And all of a sudden, boom, somebody drops a shot and bam, it's over.
Well, as a fan, you know, it seems, you know, so much different, obviously, than having a clock and the time run out and things like that. But as a player, I mean, you know, if you've played, you know, however many games, you play 125, 150 games in your college career. I mean, you've played probably upwards of 5,000 to 10,000 pickup games in your life, and pickup games always end with a made basket. I mean, that Elam ending is designed kind of the way you grow up playing and the way you learn how to play. And so I don't think it's as different to the actual players while they're playing. I enjoy it. I love the ending the way that it is. It's just, you're right though, boy, it's sudden because a basket goes in and all of a sudden everything is donezo.
Which it's the same as but it's just a different scenario, man. It's just so weird. But golly, it was fun though. Oh my gosh, I was fun getting out. I went out purposely to watch this game, and was actually yelling at the TV, "Get in there, go in!" I mean, it was fun to be invested in something. That's why we miss sports so much. And man, oh man, last night being able to do that was a blast. Although it did not give you the ending you wanted, but it was good to have that emotion, even though it's not the emotion I wanted. It's nice to have an emotion for the first time in 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously we're jonesing for some sports and live things on TV, but you know that tournament was kind of, you know, it's kind of set up perfectly. It's just what they needed, having something in a pretty short period of time. I mean, where they've been there for 11 or 12 days. You know, so it made it somewhat easier, I think, to quarantine or bubble these guys versus the NBA is going to be there for 3 months. Everything was just kind of set up for a perfect little scenario. And you're right, boy, it was, we look forward to it during the day, and then to finally have a game like that at night, and for it to be a good game and have a vested interest in it as a couple IU guys, former IU guys on there. It was fun.
And I think this was all off air that we talked about this, but the Elam ending, you mentioned how you wouldn't want to see that in like the NCAA, which I agree. I wouldn't either. But, man, there is sure a place for the Elam ending. AAU tournaments, you said, and that is perfect. Man, it is built for that, because if you have ever been to an AAU tournament and been there all daggone day and you're late because they're 45 minutes late because they're 8 games behind, this is what this is for exactly.
It is. And also, you know, I can't tell you how many times we've, you know, if you play in an AAU tournament, you play 5 or 6 games, generally, maybe 7 games over the week, over a 2 to 3 day stretch. And I'll tell you, at least half of those games end with a 20-point, victory. And it'll come down to the end of the game, and there's no shot clocks most of the time in these AAU tournaments. It'll come down to the end of the game, and we might dribble a minute and a half off of the clock at the end of the game because you're up by 25 points. It's just there's no way to end the game in a positive way, and this would be ideal. I mean, you set a target score. You got to go score 8 points to finish it off, and I don't even care if they adjusted the 8 points, made it 6 or 10 or 15. I don't even care what it would be. But I mean, it's definitely got a place in youth and amateur sports for sure.
And then with high school is behind, man. I mean, not having the shot clock. They got to do
one or the other. High school basketball has either got to adopt the Elam ending or put a shot clock in, one or the other. Otherwise, it's going to become non-existent.
And the state of Indiana needs to lead that charge because there is no state in this country that loves, craves, and plays in high school basketball better than Indiana. But they have got to, even this state, they diluted it with the class system and there's arguments both sides, and I'm not going to get into that because I understand. I went to Floyd Central, you went to Lawrence North. We went to schools that were not dissuaded in any way in athletically, but there are a lot of schools and a lot of kids in certain sports. I get it, but so they've got to do something to liven up because, man, I've seen some boring stuff. There was that one score, I think it was a Carmel game maybe we talked about that was, I'm like, what the hell did they do? Hold the ball the whole time? Yeah. They got to do something because there's too much talent in this state to hold it down. But
and if they don't change it eventually, I mean, it's not going to happen this year probably, but if they don't change it eventually, it's going to get to the point where the guys who are, big time talents won't even play high school basketball because it's not a major part of their recruiting anyway. They get recruited off of AAU, in the summertime because that's when the coaches can visit them and talk to them and watch them play. And but if high school basketball doesn't, I don't think that high school will pick up the Elam ending. I truly don't. But I think that they are so far behind in not taking the shot clock into account because it would make the game so much more exciting.
I agree 1,000%. A lot of talk here of late in regard to the NFL Washington Redskins changing that name. They are going to change that name. No doubt about that happening. It's going to happen. But something I saw that is, somebody was smart. One guy holds multiple trademarks on potential names. A lot of names that I've seen. Washington Warriors. He's 61 years old, but he didn't do it to make a buck, which most people do. He was actually kind and did it so nobody else would do it to hold up because he wants the name changed desperately. But he's got like 30-something patents on Washington Red Wolves, Washington Warriors, Washington Veterans, the Washington Monuments. That's one of my favorites. The Washington Monuments. I mean, come on, man. That's just a given. I love that one. But smart dude. But that could be worth money.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, look at this. In today's world, if the name is that offensive to that big of a group of people, then change it. Like, do people really care that much? I mean, I talk about it all the time. I don't love change. I balk at change a lot also, but in something like that, if it's something that small, I mean, who cares?
Yeah, because it is not offensive to me but for obvious reasons. But I also, when I say it, I'm not thinking. I'm just saying it's just a name. It is a word. It's just a word. Actually, it could be purple skins. It could be polka dot skins. I'm not even thinking about the connotation. Some people obviously are offended by that, and I get it. I've got no problem with it. I understand. So, but
and I mean, like we said the other day, if like they changed the Washington Bullets and now we call them the Washington Wizards. I mean, my kids don't even know that they were called the Washington Bullets. It's not a big deal. Like, who cares?
The Atlanta Braves, who had said that they are not going to change their name, originated as the Boston Braves for one. But I think it was still the Braves was a Native American connotation. But to me, that's not offensive, and I don't think to a lot of other people it is. It's being a positive. It's a positive. Hey, they were brave warriors or whatever. So they're not going to change their name now. About the tomahawk chop. That's got to go. There's no way that they keep that. But I didn't know this. That's a Florida State thing, and I think we all know that. Oh, deal. Atlanta's been doing it since the 90s, but do you know why?
No.
It came with Deion Sanders. When Deion Sanders played for Atlanta, they started doing it, and they had not done it up until then. I did not know that.
Well, I mean, it'll be difficult to get them. I mean, I guess maybe they won't play the organ and they won't play the music during the game, but from the Atlanta Braves perspective, I think the majority of their logos include that tomahawk.
They're not going to get rid of that either. They're keeping that stuff. Whereas Washington,
if they're keeping that, then who cares? Who cares?
Well, again, it's for Atlanta's. It's the Braves. It's not offensive. It was a positive connotation. Where Washington's is not looked at that. It's looked at differently. They're going to not use the face, the head. But I did see where the Braves were talking about changing the logo because they don't want to have that tomahawk on there anymore. And I thought they were going to keep it. I thought that I may have risked.
They're in talks of possibly changing that, is what I read.
Well, then
they're not agreeing to it yet.
You got to look at Cleveland, Chief Wahoo.
Yeah.
I mean, that one is because he started out as a caricature, so there's no way that can't go. And he may be gone already. I don't know.
Well, you remember, didn't the Indianapolis Indians used to have the TP out in center field? And every time they hit a home run, the Indian would run out of the TP.
The smoke would go up or something.
Yeah. That was the highlight of a home run. Like the kids, I was a kid. I know. I couldn't wait for the Indian to come running out of the TP. And I loved it.
And there was nothing offensive to you. You did not realize that was offensive to anybody.
Yeah, no idea.
None of us did. It was like, oh, isn't that cool? Hell, we thought it was cool.
Right.
So
that's how I learned Indians lived in teepees. I mean, they should have embraced the fact that that's how I learned part of their culture.
So you know what NBA players?
No big deal.
You know what NBA players are doing they've got to make their own fun while they're in the bubble right now, and one of the big things is they've been shotgunning beers and bass fishing. It sounds like the NBA has gone to NASCAR.
Bass fishing? Like legit bass fishing, or you mean like on a game?
I think that they're doing it on video games because you can do that on video games.
Well, the shotgunning beers.
The shotgunning beers is real though. They're really shotgunning beers.
Yeah, I mean that's. I've been saying it all along. That's going to be a difficult task to get those guys to stick to the bubble thing. I mean, it's early now. It's pretty easy to do right now. We'll see what happens a month and a half in.
Yeah, they showed the statistics, COVID statistics for TBT. Those guys, they did a great job. They had like 7 to start before they sent the testing out originally, and then it was just zeros across the board. I've seen. And I hate to talk about anything in regards to that, but vaccine news that looked like some stuff that was positive, but who knows?
Yeah,
Fossey can come out tomorrow and say something that Trump doesn't like, and then they get mad at each other and blah, 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 blah.
Yes, but let's please not get into that.
Yeah, we got to take a break. That's right. We got to hit a break, Jimmy says. Bob Kravitz is on today. He was on last week. And he had just put out a piece that said something doesn't sound right with his Oladipo saga. And man, oh man, I think he kind of nailed it on the head because it's kind of unfolding right now. We'll get Bob on next to talk about that from The Athletic. Stay tuned. Listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Wednesday. We're back with Bob Kravitz right after this.
Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
You remind me of what I really am. This is how you remind me.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, here on this Wednesday, July 15th, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and could not be happier to welcome in Bob Kravitz. Bob, how are you, sir?
Gentlemen, I'm doing well.
Closest thing that I think we have to an investigative reporter in these parts, because last week we talked, you were on, we talked about the Oladipo piece, and man, you kind of nailed it just right on the head as that has continued to play out in this Victor Oladipo saga.
Yeah, this has been really, really odd. Last Wednesday he says he's going to go down to Orlando, play some 5-on-5, see how that feels, and then make a determination as to whether he's going to go forward and play. Then on Friday night, news dump night, it comes out in The Athletic, and I'm glad that he talked to The Athletic, but it comes out in The Athletic that he's done, that he's not going to play. Well, then a couple of days later, now we're hearing again from The Athletic that he's considering playing. And I've got to think that there are financial implications involved there. I don't know if there was a misunderstanding or what, but, he's gone back and forth, and it's whoever is in charge of his messaging, whether it's Victor himself or his agents or representatives, man, they're not doing him any good, because this is a bad look for Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, and it's been it's coming out that there's thoughts that he might be wanting to head to Miami, and then he's been so beloved in Indianapolis, obviously because of his Indiana connections as well, and it's kind of taken a little bit of a hit.
Oh, absolutely. He's, like you say, he's for the longest time, he was the anti-Paul George. Well, guess what? He may be Paul George again. We may have Victor in town for a shorter period of time than Paul George spent here. So, it's a bad look for him, and it's a shame because, but at the same time, he's going to become a free agent, and he's got a lot of interests outside of basketball. He wants to set himself up for his post-basketball life. Music is clearly an area he wants to go to, and there are better places in Indianapolis to pursue a musical career, like New York, like Los Angeles, maybe even Miami. So I don't blame him. He's got that freedom to do it, but the way he's going about it, it's just he's messing with the emotions of the fan base, who at this point, their only real hope for the Pacers is, if he plays, I think they have a chance to get to the second round, but without him, I think it'll be quick and dirty.
Yeah, and of all times, I was just talking in our last segment, Bob, me and Todd were talking about the TBT last night, how much fun it was. We were kind of invested because Remy Abel and Mo Creek were former IU players were on there and had a shot, and it was a great game, and the emotions, and it was fun to have those emotions, and fans are really jonesing for that. So for that to be on the precipice of coming back and have your main guy, the most beloved player, kind of stuck in this stuff, it's not what the fans are looking for right now, for sure.
No, I mean, we've had enough bad news around, the globe for the last, whatever it is, 6 months, 7 months, since mid-March, basically. And, we've had really no sports news. And you think about Indianapolis, Paul George wanted out. Andrew Luck walked away. Now we're dealing with this Oladipo stuff. To me, it would make sense, if Pacers made Oladipo available as soon as humanly possible and get him out front to really address some of these questions. Now, he may not want to. He may, want to play this game, and that's fine. That's his prerogative. But there's going to be a ton of speculation until we've got some closure on this thing.
Yeah, Todd, it's usually always when things go awry with a player in a city or whatever, it usually comes down to money issues. And that's kind of what we see playing out here.
And it is. And it's become, I've talked about this at length about how much why the NBA is different. I mean, we hear the players say it from the time they get there until they retire, that it becomes a business. Like, it is a business, and it's a money business decision. And I don't blame Victor for what's going on. I mean, Bob, I think you make a great point. I think his agent needs to step up and take the heat right now and say, hey, look, you know what? I misrepresented it to Vic. We didn't realize the money situation. I don't think anyone in the real world would blame Victor Oladipo for, not playing if he wasn't 100% healthy and going to get paid, versus if they say, hey, you're 90% healthy, there is a small risk of still injury, but you're not going to get the $3 million if you don't play. I don't think I wouldn't blame him. It is a business. And
me either. And, he's going into, after next year, he'll be a free agent. He'll be 29 years old. This is probably his one big giant payday. He's looking at the kind of money that, it generates wealth, generational wealth, basically. His kids and grandkids,
right,
and extended family are taken care of for the rest of their lives. So why wouldn't you err on the side of caution? But it's the way this whole thing has been done, the way it's been handled.
Sure.
It's kind of like with LeBron, the decision. Nobody had an issue with LeBron deciding to take his talents to South Beach. It was just the way he did it. It was so clumsy, and I thought reflected poorly on LeBron.
Yeah, I agree completely with all of that. I mean, and it comes down to this is what an agent's job is right now. I mean, this is if he wants to retain and be a part of that next big contract Vic's going to have, he's got to step up and take the bullet, even if it's, you know, maybe not completely true. He's got to step up right now and take the heat off of Vic, because it'll make his job in life a lot easier in the long run.
And Victor, I think, needs to step up as well. You know, I mean, Victor, you know, they do these daily Zoom interviews from down in the bubble in Orlando. You know, if I'm Victor and all this craziness is going on, I want to be front and center and explain what in the hell is going on and why it's going on and who screwed it up. Because right now, whoever is making the call, whether it's Victor, who is a very smart, independent-minded guy, or whether it's his, his people, it's hurting his brand. And I think that Victor is more and more seeing himself as not just a basketball player, but as a brand. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, if you're going to be a brand, likability is high up on the list of priorities. And right now he's not coming off very well. Let's put it that way.
It seems like it's almost not impossible, but it's very difficult for a superstar to leave a market intact. It happens, but it's hard. Even for Peyton Manning, it was hard, but he's managed to do that. Reggie Miller had no problem with doing that. But it's how you leave. I mean, you mentioned Paul George. That's what leaves the taste in the mouth of the fans. And there's long-term considerations. Like you said, the generational wealth is already there. But there's when you're that popular, there's going to be many more opportunities for you, but it depends. Those opportunities are dependent on how you treat the fans on your way out.
Yeah, it's weird because I think about Lance Stevenson, and the only place where Lance Stevenson has had any kind of success as a pro was in Indianapolis, and yet he keeps leaving. I went to Charlotte a couple of years ago for a contract that was arguably worse than the one that he was offered by the Pacers. I'm not saying that Oladipo is going to go to New York or Miami and be a bum, but, this is a place that traded for him. This is a place where he really developed and ultimately took off and became a two-time All-Star. And, I'm not saying he owes them anything. He certainly does not. But, sometimes, be happy where you are. And, does he, he's got a pretty good gig here. If he feels like he can maximize it financially somewhere else, then God bless him. But, if that's the case, then clearly Kevin Pritchard is going to have to make a deal so they don't lose him for nothing.
Well, and I think, Bob, your point of his career after basketball is probably a bigger, it's a big issue. It's one to think about because, I mean, I don't know him that well, but I don't see Victor Oladipo retiring and living in Indianapolis or Indiana for the rest of his life when he's done playing. He's got other things he wants to do. And so to him, I do probably see this as I think it's a job for him. And I think he loves Indiana. I think he loves when he comes back to Assembly Hall, the fans are always going to go crazy, whether he plays for the Pacers or the Miami Heat or the New York Knicks. And so that part of it's going to be there, but I don't see him as a super tie to Indianapolis for the rest of his life. So I think we look at it and want the storybook ending because we're Hoosiers and from here. But at the end of the day, it's a business to a lot of these guys, and I think he's going to make a decision that's best for Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, and I have zero problem with that. That is his prerogative. You only get one chance at this thing, and
right.
You might as well make as much as you can and play in a place where you feel like you can develop your skills off the court, whether it's music or business or whatever it might be. But, have some consistent messaging. Don't jack people around. Don't jack the Pacers around. Don't jack the fans around because this is a really, really bad look for Victor Oladipo right now.
Bob, last night we got a chance to watch the TBT Championship, something fun, something that we got to be invested in. Obviously, Remy Abel and Mo Creek was on sideline cancer, former Hoosiers, but give us something to root for. It was awesome having something to root for, having those emotions. Man, oh man, was it weird to be able to be into a game for the first time in 4 months.
I know, isn't it? It's wild. I mean, it's like when I went to IMS. I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, and heard the roar of the engines for the first time in months and months and months, and I was like almost emotional about it. I was like, where has this been for a long time? And yeah, I mean, fandom, we all miss being fans. I mean, I gave up my fan card to some degree, when I got into this business, but I still love sitting down and watching a really good hockey game and getting emotionally invested in it. And yeah, it's just part of our lives that have been missing. And it's cool to be able to see, Mo and Remy and all those other guys do their thing and get emotionally tethered to the outcome. It's pretty nice.
You got any, with the Athletic, of course, what's coming up next for you?
A lot of golf. I'm taking the week off. So the Colts Open July 28th. We'll be doing some Pacer stuff before that, but nothing specific because right now all I'm thinking about is golf.
Sounds good, brother. I hope you hit them long and straight. We appreciate you coming on and enjoy the week. If you make it down to Bloomington, let us know. I'll sick Leary on you.
All right. That sounds like trouble.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Buddy.
Bob Kravitz of The Athletic joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat today. We appreciate him. We got more coming up. Peyton Hendershot, he's been cleared to return to the Indiana football team. We met with or talked to Coach Allen yesterday. We'll hear from him as well. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Enemies are at your door. I'll carry you away from more if you need help. If you need help.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Everybody praying for the end of times. Everybody hoping they could be the one. I was born to run. I was born for this. Run me like a
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios on this midpoint of everything. It's Wednesday. It's July 15th. We're right in the middle of everything. Peyton Hendershot has been officially cleared to rejoin the Indiana football program in full capacity, according to Coach Tom Allen yesterday on a Zoom press conference. Of course, in late February, Hendershot was arrested and charged with felony residential entry, but was able to get those matters cleaned up, and he will be back with the team. We met with Tom Allen yesterday. We'll hear from him a little bit later, but it's good to have that back. Now it's going to be one of the things Todd Leary asked him, and we'll hear this later. But we had a Zoom conference with Tom Allen yesterday, and I was last, so you got to have like several questions ready because you know your question's going to get asked. But fortunately, one of the ones that when it got to me, that I asked a second parter, and it was about the possibility now of playing Peyton Ramsey because the league has to add one game to the football schedule right now.
Right.
They've taken off the 3 non-conference games, and they're going to add one non-conference game. And, of course, it has to come from the West because they're already scheduled against everybody in the East Division. And then, of course, that only leaves, 4 teams because you're already playing Purdue, you're already playing Illinois, and they're already playing Wisconsin. So that only leaves 3 teams as a possibility. Nebraska, which you played last year, Northwestern, of course, and was it Minnesota? So, and you just played Minnesota, but you also played Northwestern recently. But there's that possibility, and I don't think the league gives a crap that Peyton Ramsey used to play for Indiana. So there is a definite possibility now that Indiana could face Peyton Ramsey, which would be kind of weird. But I think, Jimmy, you got the Tom Allen. Let's hear talk to Tom Allen yesterday. Here's some of what he had to say.
Because in the other year, you're going to have 5. So this cycle is time for the East to have 5 home games in the conference schedule that we already had set up, so that won't change. And then, so I think it makes sense if we do have a 10-game schedule, which there's all these things are in play right now and being discussed. So they're going to have to go to make it equal. They would go if they went that 10th game. I would imagine it'd have to be the West Division would be the host for that 10th game. So we would play somebody from obviously that side. So
there was Tom Allen. Oh, I thought you were going to play the rest of that, but I meant the other clip, the part where I asked about the possibility of playing Northwestern. But yeah, that's a real possibility now, and not that I think that it would just be intriguing.
It would be weird. It would definitely be a strange situation.
And Northwestern, the thing that they were missing last year was a good quarterback. They had just a few years away from being really good. So I don't know how good they could actually be if they had a good quarterback.
The interesting part would be, this doesn't happen very often. It's an unusual circumstance that a coach would have the opportunity. I mean, obviously it happens a lot in the NFL or in professional sports, but in college sports, to have a quarterback that you set game plans up for years and then all of a sudden be setting a game plan up to go against them and figure out how to stop them. I mean, could you come up with a person that would be better suited to do that than the coach that's been with you for 3 years?
Absolutely. And the good thing is with Peyton Ramsey, he's pretty much one-dimensional, so you know the offense that you'd be facing. I don't know that they have the personnel to run that. Where Indiana has, they've got Whop Phillier. They've had Luke Timian before that. They've had those slot guys and the deep guys that can go, but you've got to be able to get the ball to the deep guys. And that was a problem here. So I would imagine continue to be a problem. So it would just be a weird deal. I'd hate to see it, to be honest with you, because
agree.
I think it's a game Indiana should win easily. And I would not like to say, I hope it doesn't happen. I'll be honest with you. I hope they don't play Northwestern. That leaves them and actually that leaves some intriguing matchups. If you want to be honest, that would leave Nebraska. And I don't know how the schedule is going to work out as far as who's got to go where, but Indiana just went to Nebraska last year and won. And Scott Frost was moaning and complaining about wanting more games against a team like Indiana. He said that before he got beat at home by them, of course. But or you've got Minnesota, which is another up-and-comer, PJ Fleck, rowing the boat. So you got some intriguing matchups either way, and where those games will be played will be
forget any extra circumstances that go with it. If you had those three teams, if you had Nebraska, Minnesota, and Northwestern, and you needed a win, which one of those three teams, July 15th right now, would you pick you wanted to play against?
Northwestern, no doubt.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with
there's
you.
There's not even a question.
Only because I don't want anything negative to happen for Peyton Ramsey.
And unfortunately, he's the best medicine for what they need.
Right.
Because you forget they've lost these three non-conference games, which are basically 3 wins. They've had 3 wins taken off of their schedule. All right. So whatever you thought Indiana was going to do, let's say you thought they were going to go 8-4 again, regular season. Well, take 3 wins off of that that are counted. That puts you back at a 5-win season. Now you're teetering on which way can you go, above or below. It is not going to be easy. I mean, my gosh.
But I assume they're changing the bowl eligibility rules and everything, right?
They haven't. I've heard no mention of that, but of course they will have to, because
you're just eliminating games. I mean, you wouldn't have near enough teams to play.
Well, they will. They'll adjust down. I think 5 wins. 6 wins becomes 5, or maybe. I doubt it could become 4, but
it could become 4. I mean, if can you let it, if they're going to play a 10 game?
Are we going to have bowl games? That's another thing. It's going to be, there's so many questions up in the air. It's crazy, but it's going to be Indiana. Now, winning season was all but guaranteed this year. That's out the window. A winning season now would be monumental. Because look at the teams they have to play.
A 6-4 season with the schedule they're going to have would be as good as a 9-win season.
Oh yeah, or maybe even 10. It would be a monster this year because holy cow, you don't get any. There are no breathers. Rutgers is it. Rutgers is your only breather. Nobody else is easy. Maryland's not easy. Illinois is not easy. They've been winning last year. They knocked off Wisconsin. You're going to have another game added, and it's going to be against either Peyton Ramsey or against Nebraska or against Minnesota. Not easy.
You got Purdue at home, but that game's never easy.
I also forget. I'm failing to mention Iowa. Iowa's not on the schedule, are they?
Nope.
So Iowa is a possibility as well. Which
that's not one you want. From a win perspective, that's not one you want.
Yeah, and so you're not looking and where's that game going to be played? Is that going to add even more difficulty to what they're trying to accomplish? So it has completely changed Indiana's outlook. It's going to be exciting. Not that they can't do it because they're good.
The one part of the whole interview that I love. This is what you have to say if you're Tom Allen. But when he talked about he's expecting to start the season on time, the thing you got to keep in mind is he's trying to motivate 120 college kids right now to work as hard as they can. There's nothing he can say other than we're expecting to start, that first week of September, last week of August. We're expecting to start on time. And he has to say that. He doesn't have a choice. I don't think, if you made you and I bet on it today, I would not bet they start on time.
I did see Notre Dame, Florida State. They moved that game up a day from Monday, September 6th, which I guess is Labor Day weekend, to Sunday, September 5th. I don't know. Whether we start on time or not, I don't know. I'm just hopeful we have a season.
When you talked about, because I was sick, I wasn't on last week, and I don't know if you talked about this or not, but this is the first thing that went through my mind when the Big Ten came out and said they're only going to play conference games. I'm assuming there'll be some other the big conferences follow suit with that.
Oh, they've all done that.
Who's Notre Dame going to play?
Well, they have an alignment with the ACC. Their agreement with them was they guaranteed to play 5 games against ACC opponents already. So that's going to be an easy fix for them. And which one of those ACC teams is not going to be salivating to have a Notre Dame
to get to play that game?
Oh my gosh. Because the ACC sucks. Let me say that again. The ACC absolutely sucks. I mean, Clemson is it. Florida State has fallen off. Louisville has fallen off. Miami fallen off. Virginia Tech fallen off. All those good teams that they had, just man, they really stunk it up last year. It was horrible. But we'll see how that's going to go because Notre Dame has prided itself on being their own thing. Running.
That's
the
first
deal.
thing I looked at when the Big Ten did that. Is I went and looked up Notre Dame's schedule to see who they played, and I know. They only had one Big Ten game. I can't even remember who it was.
Well,
it wasn't Michigan. They had one Big Ten game, but
how can they have any? They can't have any because the Big Tens are not playing any non-conference games.
Well, no, that's what I mean.
Oh, you mean they have to replace that? Yeah,
on their original schedule. I mean, so they had USC, and Washington, and
which is the kind of schedule they had always played. That big national schedule.
But you knew as soon as the Big Ten. Took the stance of we're only going to play, in conference games. You knew the other Power 5 conferences would probably all do it.
Notre Dame is the one that's got to scurry.
For sure.
They're, but that's what they get for not being in a conference. I mean, I'm surprised it's gone as long as it has. And the ACC is not where Notre Dame belongs. Notre Dame belongs in the Big Ten more than Rutgers, more than Maryland, more than Nebraska. I mean, they should be in the Big Ten.
But we talk about this yesterday. We talk about it all the time when we talk about college football. And the thing that drives college football is TV money. And Notre Dame, for whatever reason it is, Notre Dame is different than every other school in the country when it comes to playing on TV. And they've always had their own contracts and. I don't think there's any way from a fiscal standpoint, I don't think there's any way it makes sense for them to join the Big Ten.
Everything's money. You're right. It's all about money. And the reason they are an anomaly. They're one of the few teams that can stand alone still and command what they have commanded. Now, I don't know how long that will go on because when they originally did this deal with NBC,
what was it like? It had to be like a 50-year deal or something. Why is it still going on?
Because they won a national championship in '88. So the Lou Holtz, after that stuff, they were still kind of riding high. They haven't done a lot. I mean, I know they went to a football deal, but they weren't in it. And so they just belong in the Big Ten. And with the money now, I don't know that we'll ever see it, but it would be nice. It'd be
cool. It'd be awesome.
They belong in the Big Ten. I mean, can you imagine every year seeing Notre Dame, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Indiana? I was at the last Indiana-Notre Dame football game. And I hate saying that because it makes me old because it was in 1991.
I was going to say, I couldn't even tell you when it was.
Trent Green was a quarterback. It was in South Bend. It was fun. That was my first experience up there. It was amazing. It was before they did the renovations that raised the stadium a little bit up there. You could still see the Touchdown Jesus from inside the stadium at that time. But man, if you've never been to that stadium.
Had Rudy graduated by then? Was he gone?
He was gone, but I wish he would have sent back some money to update the seating at Notre Dame Stadium, because do you know what their seats are? It is a 2x6 board all the way around the stadium, 2x6 boards. And I mean, when I say 2x6, a 2x6 is really about 5.5 inches wide. That's what you got to sit on. Everybody squeeze, and they're maybe a foot wide, and there's not a butt in that stadium that actually can cover the
that fits on it.
Yes, man, they've kept it old school for sure. But yeah, that would be cool. I mean, those are the games. That's what Notre Dame was built on back in the 40s and the 50s, playing Army and Michigans and those teams of those days. And that would be a Notre Dame in the Big Ten. That would be delicious.
Everything makes sense for it, for everyone not associated with Notre Dame. I mean, for them, their football money and TV revenue drives everything for them. I mean, I don't see how it could ever happen and make sense for them as long as they have that opportunity with NBC.
They would have to give up control of 4 games, because now they give the ACC 5. Well, they'd have to give 4 more to the Big Ten. Had the Big Ten not went to 9 games and kept it at 8 like all the other conferences do, they might have had a shot of getting Notre Dame in. But taking 9 out of their 12 games away, it was too much for them. They've got too many games that they play. Army, they've played for 1,000 years. USC, they played that game for 1,000 years.
I mean, from their standpoint, I mean, I don't really see a huge benefit in them joining the Big Ten. I mean, why would they not just align completely with the ACC and play football in the ACC now?
Well, they'd make a lot more money there in the Big Ten, because the Big Ten makes more money, and it makes more sense financially. It makes more sense regionally. They would make more money because they spend less on travel. But they're just, to me, they're built for the Big Ten.
They are geographically.
And all the
There's
sports.
Nothing you can say of why it doesn't make sense.
Basketball as well, even basketball. They would benefit them basketball-wise. The ACC is doing nothing for them. You don't hear of Notre Dame having any kind of a footprint in the state of Indiana, I think, or very, very little.
In the state of Indiana, for sure.
Very, very little in basketball.
They should have.
You're daggone right they should have. And I think not being a part of the Big Ten does that. If they were in the Big Ten and they were playing Purdue and they're playing Indiana and they're playing Michigan State and Ohio State and Illinois, I guarantee you that changes. It would, and I'm really surprised they haven't, but it's because Notre Dame is known for Notre Dame football. Of course,
think how hard it would be for Notre Dame to go recruit against North Carolina, Duke, even Wake Forest. I mean, those schools that have decent climates and are big-time basketball schools, to recruit against them from a basketball perspective is virtually impossible.
But yet then they've got to be home and root in Indiana, or recruit in Indiana against
Purdue and Indiana,
Butler, Michigan State, Ohio State. So
I mean, you got – who's the closest school to Northwestern's the closest Big Ten school to them, but Purdue is right there.
They're surrounded by Big Ten. They're closer. They are closer to more Big Ten teams than Indiana is
by far. Isn't Indiana the southernmost school in the Big Ten?
Yep. They are absolutely the southernmost school in the Big Ten. And I mean, think about Rutgers and Minnesota and Nebraska. Notre Dame is up there close to Michigan, close to Michigan State, close to Northwestern, closer to
Purdue.
Wisconsin, Ohio State, Purdue.
Geographically,
Illinois.
They would be in great shape.
They would spend so little and make much more, because the Big Ten is generating so much more income now. Of course, not as much, obviously, as being on their own, maybe, but I don't know. I don't have those numbers, but it's not all about the money. I think they just didn't want to give up control of a lot of things. So, but looking forward.
It's always all about the money.
Everything
you know that.
Everything is all about the
everything
money.
Is.
Even the TBT, which, man, I think the TBT has got to go to they got to have something for the second place guys. That's just that. I'll tell you, it was truly heartbreaking. It was truly heartbreaking for me to watch Mo afterwards, knowing that he poured his heart into it. I texted him after the game, and I felt so bad because you could tell he just really, really poured his heart and soul into that thing, man, and it didn't go their way. But
I mean, I was even thinking about it. I mean, even if it was just, I know it's awesome to be able to promote, hey, winner take all. But on the flip side of it, there's a part of me that just wanted to be like, hey, how about the losers get $10,000 a piece?
Something, man.
Something.
I mean, because I texted him, I said, man, you were lights out amazing. I'm so sorry for you guys. I think the rest of the sports watching world appreciated your drive and determination as much as we did. It was obvious. Thank you for being so generous with your time. He appreciated it. Said, man, I did everything I could do. And he did. Man, oh, man. At least it gave us something fun to watch and talk about. And, man, we need more of that. So hopefully tonight's Wednesday. Guess what? There's an all-star race in Bristol. So we'll have something to talk about there tomorrow, something exciting. So that's always a fun race to watch. So it gives us something to do. But been a great day. Appreciate Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joining us. As always, he is great. Looking forward to coming back tomorrow and doing this all again, man. And going out and play some golf today. Are you back yet?
I am. I'm free today. Today's my go free day.
Get out of jail free day, man. Go out and play golf, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. So
yeah, it is.
Hope everybody gets out and has fun. Do something nice for somebody. Say something nice for somebody. I should have played the last thing that Tom Allen said yesterday on his Zoom conference. Wear a mask. Protect yourselves. Be safe. That's right. He said if we do that, we'll get back. Appreciate everybody.
You want to have football? Wear a mask.
There you go. Appreciate everybody. Until tomorrow, for Todd, for Jimmy, I'm Jim Coyle. Do something nice for somebody. Say something nice to somebody. Until then, I will see you on the radio.